Hey, what's up? It's the Field with Preston Hiefield. Thanks so much for listening, liking, and subscribing on YouTube, Substack, Apple, and Spotify. Been a fun summer here in the Great Northwest. It is July 5th. It's a Sunday. A couple days after the Ja Morant to Portland trade goes down. Read the coverage, most of it wild, some of it outstanding. I will share the Jason Quick article from The Athletic that I thoroughly enjoyed. Talks about his sit-down with Micah Nori in South Carolina, where Nori's daughter is set to attend college this fall. Wonderful reporting, as always, from the great Jason Quick there on the Blazers beat on The Athletic. Certainly did not enjoy the column from the Oregonian. Boy, going from Canzano to that columnist who shall remain nameless. Y'all know him. That's like going from Mariota to Lockie, man. It's been not good the entire time he's been in Oregon, and we all certainly miss Canzano. I still subscribe on his Substack page where he's gone on to do bigger and better things. A little bit of Russillo reaction as well. It was also very negative. That's kind of generally his slant on things, though. So I kind of, as I judge the Ja Morant trade, grade the trade. I'm not gonna give you a grade the trade grade. It's not really my style. You can probably find that on a million other podcasts. Find it on Bill Simmons or wherever else you want to get your sports podcasts. But I talk about the media reaction to things, which I find almost more fascinating. And then, of course, you guys know me as the college football and hoops and tennis pod and go insanely in-depth during college football season. But obviously a lifelong Oregonian, born and raised Portlander. Blazers mean a lot to me. And I think this trade has a lot of different elements to it. You have the media reaction to it. You have the Micah Nori situation, hiring. You have the Tom Dundon situation. Blazers fans, Tom Dundon just hired a great assistant coach, and just got you a two-time All-Star who's been considered a superstar who's still not even 27. You guys still hate him? And by the way, I did some digging. I will get you the exact information, the details behind the Moda Center renovations, where we are, what the deadlines are, what the city still has to do. Again, the state's already passed that Senate Bill 1501. Did some digging there. I will share all of that with you because it's all intertwined. It's all really intertwined. So is the Jaylen Brown stuff, which is interesting. He's obviously Philly. Congrats to them. I think is it Bob Myers running the show now? Massive congrats. Boston, Brad Stevens. Holy shit, what's going on there? Brad Stevens is one of the best executives of this day and age. Most people would say that anyway. What is going on there? My 2 cents of the Blazers didn't want anything to do with Jaylen Brown, and not a lot of people did. To me, that's borderline obvious at this point. We'll get to that as well. Okay, so, by the way, at the end, stay for the LeBron prediction. That's right, your boy, major LeBron guy. Where's LeBron going to be playing basketball next year? I'll give you my prediction. Okay, so earlier this week, Ja Morant gets traded to the Portland Trail Blazers in a stunner, quite frankly. I was stunned. My jaw dropped. It's a jaw jam. Shout out to, who's that broadcaster? Austin-based. Good dude. I've actually met him before. Dang it. CBS guy. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue, folks. Carter Blackburn. Thank you. It's a jaw jam. He coined that when Ja was at Murray State. Had a couple nasty jams during the NCAA tournament. Great play-by-play guy is Carter Blackburn. Okay, so it's a stunner for a lot of reasons. I want to break this down a couple ways. Number one, I want to talk about the media's reaction to the trade, which I always find fascinating. Just tip that off on the top. I want to talk about the actual fit. Very interesting here. Denny Avdia, by far the best player on the team. He was the All-Star this year, certainly the alpha of the team. Is a dominant ball handler, not a guard, a shooting guard, small forward, dominant ball handler, needs the ball a lot. So does Dame, so does Drew, so does Scoot, so does Shaden. That's 6 mouths to feed with Ja. Let's talk about what that means. Also, days later, Jaylen Brown goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. Interesting. Obviously, when his name was getting dragged through the mud during the Giannis sweepstakes, and then Shams goes on NBA Today, says Portland offered a big package for Giannis. By the way, so did the Celtics with Jaylen Brown, chief among them. Bill Simmons goes on and says, like, Giannis didn't want to, I don't want to butcher that. I don't want to aggregate that wrong, but something to the effect of like Giannis wasn't going to play there long term, or the Celtics didn't want to give him a super long-term deal. Regardless, you guys can go ahead and read into that. The point is, this is all intertwined. It's this last week or two, it's all intertwined. Did a decent amount of digging, decent amount of research. Off the top, I'm going to start with thoughts on the actual media reaction to it. Then I'll get to the trade itself and the fit. And then I'll get to the Jaylen Brown angle. Sound good? Okay, by the way, the end, giving you guys my LeBron prediction, which is not based on any reporting. That's just literally straight up the LeBron prediction. Okay, let's start with the media's reaction to the trade. Boy, this was incredibly negative. We have a columnist in Oregon who shall remain nameless, whose work is behind a paywall. I clicked on the column. And I'm going to talk about the Oregonian here. I clicked on the column, and it let me read it for some reason. I don't subscribe, but I got to read it. I went back today and clicked on the column, and it's now behind a paywall. Not really sure. I don't know what the Oregonian's doing, period, but that's where we're at. So I read the column. The columnist has since issued an apology, by the way. That's how bad it was. I don't understand the negativity behind this columnist in general, who is constantly negative. Again, going from Canzano to this guy is like going from Mariota to Lockey. It's been really bad for a long time, and I miss Canzano, man. Still subscribe on the Substack, but God, I miss Canzano. Just being a little bit more mainstream. But I hope you all can find a couple bucks to subscribe to him because he's fantastic. So the negativity, man, is so disappointing because this is a guy who's 26, going to turn 27 this summer, August, I believe. He's been a two-time All-Star. He's been the face of a franchise that has made playoff run after playoff run and competed with some really good Warriors teams. And like with an incredibly young core around him, by the way. Desmond Bane, really young at the time. Dylan Brooks, young at the time. JJJ, young at the time. Like all these guys, really young core. And I get why Memphis had to move off him. Totally get it. Throwing Glocks up on Instagram, not good. The only thing that's worse than that is then hitting a jump shot and going like this to your opponent or the crowd. Going to need to knock that off. A little bit like I was going to compare it's not even a comparison. I was going to say the Dylan Raiola Mahomes impersonation. This is obviously way worse, but I'm sure Oregon told Mahomes, or told Raiola, maybe the Mahomes stuff could cool it a little bit. So Ja with the Glock pointing after the made jump shot. Let's go ahead and knock that off. So he's been suspended by the NBA twice now, once for 25 games, once for 8 games. Did the fake Jalen Rose interview. Everyone laughed at it. Again, a couple days later, a couple weeks later, he was out putting a Glock on Instagram again. So we need to cool that. That being said, I am personally positive about this trade. From a Blazer perspective, this is a guy who is insanely athletic, and I get the knocks on it. Like, he jumps 4 feet in the air 18 times a game. You're going to get hurt. He's already been hurt a lot. It's Derrick Rose-ish. You don't want to see him jumping in the air a ton. Okay, that's a really easy way to get hurt in this league, especially when you're 6'2", 170. So we gotta maybe cool that a little bit. But the rim attack is awesome. I think he pairs incredibly well with Damon Drew. I get everyone wants to complain about the defense. Okay, that's fine. That's why you re-signed Rob Will for 3 years. That's why you have Klingon back there. That's why you have Tumani, who's an elite defender. Like, and listen, like, if you have a chance to get Ja and get rid of Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, Jeremy Grant, grossly overpaid, showed up to work about half the time. At times looked like a nice player. At times you didn't know he was even there. There's a funny, famous example. I think it was last year, maybe. He banked in a game winner in Houston. This is like a random regular season game. Most people aren't going to remember this. He banked in a game winner. It may have just sent it to overtime, or it may have been a game winner. Either way, buzzer beater, either for the win or to tie to send it to OT from 3, like deep shot. Didn't even really show any emotion. The entire team ran over and hugged him, and he was just like, nah. And that's Jeremy Grant in a nutshell. Talent, but you don't know if he's there. Okay, but he was making $35 million a year. That was back when Dame was on the roster the first time. Cronin gave Jeremy that deal, kind of be like, yeah, Dame, one last shot, right? And then Dame went to Milwaukee. Obviously, sometimes you get caught having to spend the money, and if you have to spend the money, like Jeremy Grant, pretty good player to do it on in terms of like a let's stash the cash somewhere so that when we go to make a deal, obviously you have the salary match, whatever it is, 80% of the salary, whatever the salary match rules are for trades. Not a bad player to do that. Chris Murray, all due respect, not really an NBA player. Very, very, very fringe bench player. Gave it a good run in Portland. When he's wide open, he'll hit the three, but not a lot else. So you get rid of those two guys for a guy who's entering his prime. And I say that, entering his prime. Ja Morant is entering his prime. Okay? Now, obviously, injuries have hurt him. You would think he's healthy now. He's played in like less than 100 games in the last 3 years. And man, if he can get around Dame and Drew, two of the best, by all accounts, best men in this league, best leaders in this league, if he can get around those guys and they can have a positive influence on him instead of being somewhere in Memphis with his bros wielding a Glock on Instagram, if we can just put the Glock away and get to Portland and hang out with Dame and Drew. And by the way, as far as I can tell, gun control laws a little better in Oregon. And I say this sincerely. We have a lot of weed here. I don't partake, but if you need a vice instead of guns, we have weed. If you need another vice, Portland is like the strip club capital of the world. They're very proud of it here, by the way. I'm not sure why. Again, not a strip club person, not a weed person. I can't personally give you the recommendations, but someone can in Portland, okay? You know, that's not going to be hard to find. So, weed, strip clubs. Okay? Weed, strip clubs. That's a lot better than wielding a Glock, okay? And I'm serious. Like, the gun stuff is bullshit. That is total effing bullshit. That is how people get hurt. That's insanely dangerous. That's total effing bullshit. Put the Glock away. Smoke some weed. Go live on a farm in West Lynn. Okay, that's where like half the Blazers live, on some farm in West Lynn. Go to the practice facility in Tualatin. Go to games. Go to strip clubs if you need. Go to Greece in the offseason or hang around in Oregon in the offseason. It's wonderful here in the summertime. There aren't very many distractions around here. There aren't very many, I would say like places to go crazy with your guns. Like, just get here, be under the tutelage of Dame and Drew. If Drew's still here, they're not trading Dame. Get to that in a second. And lock in. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for the young man to lock in. Okay, Jason Quick article here. From The Athletic. Quick is so good. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So I guess coincidentally, serendipitous was the word here. Here's from Jason Quick in The Athletic. The Tuesday lunch between the newest tent poles of the Trailblazers was glazed in serendipity. That is an amazing sentence right there. Glazed in serendipity, by the way. AKA a happy occurrence. I did look up serendipity one more time, I'll be honest, just to make sure I really understood it. Happy occurrence is the definition there. Before Norrie was hired by the Blazers last week, he had a family vacation planned in Myrtle Beach for this week. So when the Blazers traded for Morant on Monday and learned the soon-to-be 27-year-old was in his hometown of Dalzell, South Carolina, the two connected and agreed to meet in Columbia, approximately 2.5-hour drive for Norrie and 45 minutes for Morant. Glazed in serendipity. When they sat down at the restaurant, Morant noted that 4 days earlier, he was traded from Memphis to Portland. He received a piece of mail at his childhood home. On the back of the envelope were the words Trailblazer. Quote, some things just happen for a reason, Norrie remembers Morant saying. What happens next will be viewed under a microscope that extends beyond Portland. So they go on to talk about the climate getting volatile in Memphis with Ja there, him not obviously helping himself. Here's a Norrie quote, though. The way he was talking, the way he looked, the intent he had, you could just tell in his face that he missed basketball, Norrie said. Quote, and he assured that we were going to get the best Ja and that he was going to do all the right things, end quote. Goes on to talk about how Norrie has met with Kyle Anderson, who played in Minnesota for Norrie and Memphis with Ja. He spoke with Mike Miller, who used to be Ja's agent. Quote, our lunch basically confirmed everything I had heard from the people who had worked with him daily, who would talk about him as a person, the people I trust who would tell me the truth, Norrie said. And I told him the background I have on him and that they have nothing but great things to say about him, not only as a player, but as a person. All his teammates love him. I just told him the Trailblazers don't need you to do anything special. Just be you. Be the best version of yourself. And he talks about how Ja was feeling revitalized. All throughout the lunch, we didn't talk about the playing time. All he kept talking about was how the most fun he had playing basketball was those first couple of years in Memphis when they were in the playoffs. He kept talking about how he was excited to have the opportunity to win basketball games and not have to play for ping pong balls. Talks about how he knows how to use a bunch of guards very well on offense. Talks about how Ja puts a ton of pressure on the rim. I'm telling you, you could almost sense it, the way he was talking, the way he looked, the intent he had. He's a quiet, confident kid. He knows what he's capable of, and now that he's healthy and the situation he's coming to, he can write his own story with it. He was, quote, Norrie was, quote, beyond encouraged by what he heard from Morant. He's excited to be on a team with vets like Damon Drew, and he loves the young talent of Denny, Scoot, Kling, and Kamara. I mean, he mentioned them all by name, Norrie said. So, it's just amazing reporting by Quick. He felt like he basically took you to the lunch table there in South Carolina. He's so good, man. And I wanted to make sure to compliment Quick's reporting after mentioning the negativity off the top from that Oregonian columnist, man. It's brutal. He compared the Ja Morant signing to bringing back the Jailblazer era. You know how dumb you have to be to make that comparison? Like, I'm sorry. You got to be really dumb and really negative to, like, reach for that comparison. Like, you clearly don't know who Ruben Patterson is or what he did. You have no idea if that's the comparison you're making. You have no clue, clearly. And by the way, the Damon Stoudemire, Zach Randolph, like, growing weed in a house in Lake Oswego, isn't that hilarious to look back on 20 years later? Who the F cares that they grew some weed in Lake Oswego? I mean, seriously. Have you been to Westland or Lake Oswego lately? There are weed farms everywhere. It's literally an oversaturated market in Portland to grow weed now. It's oversaturated. You have weed shops closing because there's too much competition. It's an oversaturated market in Portland and the surrounding area now. It's just like the negativity from that guy, man. It's all time. There's a reason people don't subscribe to him or the Oregonian anymore. He did put out an apology. Do I even want to read this? Sure. In an effort to articulate my objection to the Trailblazers' trade for Ja Morant in a column this week, I made the mistake of recycling a term that carries obvious and harmful racial undertones. The harsh label for Portland basketball in the 2000s has long been used as an unfortunate catch-all for a wide range of behaviors, little of which was even criminal. Thank you. And I was wrong to invoke it in an artful attempt to argue a point. I have long understood that this term is harmful to people of color, and it was misguided to hang it on Morant. I mean, dude, basically just comparing Ja to the Jailblazers, like the gun-wielding thing sucks, but like let's just give this guy a chance. Now, come November, if he's wielding a gun on Instagram again, we're going to have problems. All of us in Portland will have problems with Ja. No question about it. And by the way, I am sure the front office, this Tom Dundon guy who doesn't fuck around, was like, yo, man, you do one thing like that, your ass is gone. Like, your ass is cooked. And by the way, I looked up the Morant contract stuff, so he's under contract for 2 more years, about $44 million a year-ish, okay? And then he's unrestricted after 2 seasons from now. If he brandishes guns again, like, he's already cost himself probably, $200 million? He signed a rookie contract extension. He's already cost himself $100 million, $200 million. If he does this again, I mean, he's never going to get a big deal ever again. I mean, his next contract after this would be a $200 million reduction from what it could be if he does the gun thing again. So this dude is on thin ice, a short-ass leash, as it should be. Okay? As it should be. Period, hard stop. Now, I can't wait for Ja to get to Portland. I am so stoked for this. By the way, Awareness 101, he changed his jersey from number 12 to number 1. Now, did the organization tell him to do that? Did Dame probably tell him to do that? Probably. Still great awareness to actually go through with it and do it. Obviously referencing LaMarcus Aldridge, number 12, one of the greatest Blazers of all time, like top 3 in a bunch of statistical categories. Unquestionably one of the best Blazers ever. Probably going to get his jersey retired. Maybe, maybe not. Dame has said multiple times he wants it retired. Even if he doesn't, great move to go from 12 to 1. All due respect to Ant Simons and Evan Turner. Hashtag naming my dog Neil. One of the great Instagram posts of all time by Evan Turner. Where are we at here? 21 minutes in? That's not bad. So, on the court, 21 minutes in. Let's finally get to the on-the-court stuff. The Blazers have Denny Avdia, Dame Dalla, Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, and now Ja Morant. Those are 6 players who love to dribble the basketball. You could maybe say Shaedon doesn't need the ball nearly as much as those other guys. I would agree with that. That's why I like Shaedon so much. For a lot of reasons, I would take Shaedon over Scoot. Athletically, shooting, doesn't need the ball nearly as much, can play off the ball very well, can cut, can jam, plays way above the rim, can knock down open shots now that he's not afraid to shoot anymore. I would take Shaedon over Scoot for a million reasons. So, this is intertwined with the Jaylen Brown stuff, though, because I think when everyone saw that the Blazers got Ja Morant in this trade, they thought, damn, that's awesome. Or at least here, I should say, I thought, damn, that's awesome. Damn, I can't wait for Ja. Clean slate. Let's welcome this guy in with open arms. Okay, thin ice if he pulls some bullshit again, but until he does, or if he does, hopefully he does not, let's welcome him in with open arms, celebrate the dude, put him alongside 2 of the best dudes in the NBA and Dame and Drew, who also play basically the same position, and away we go, man. And, like, the twilight of Dame's career playing off the ball and knocking down shots, like, Dame's obviously on a great value for the most part right now. He made $9 million to do nothing but coach last year, but now he's making $9 million to hit threes from an endless range. On top of that, he's an amazing locker room guy, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not like he's 40. He's, 35, 36. Same with Drew. By the way, I just want to say for the record, Drew Holiday last year was unbelievably good for the Blazers. Like, for people who didn't watch the Blazers too much in depth, he was their second offensive option. Like, when Denny was out of the game, it was like, hey, Drew, here's the ball, save us. Because the Blazers don't have anyone who can create offensively besides Denny and Drew. Last year they did not. Certainly not Scoot, certainly not Shaedon. For at an elite level in the playoffs is what I'm talking about right now. But now you get Dame and you get Drew, and it's like, holy shit. Like, we have so many offensive creators, okay? So I thought, okay, this is going to be awesome. Ja's here. That being said, this is a couple days ago, Jaylen Brown's out there. Yeah, we'll take that if we can. And we obviously have a lot of pieces to do it. A handful of first-round picks from the Bucks, plus Drew's big contract. I mean, again, you have to match salaries here. Plus Shaedon's rookie extension. I think he signed a 4 for $80. He's making 20-something a year. We can just throw in Scoot. Dude, Drew, Shaedon, Scoot, and a pick or 2 for Jaylen Brown, that would be a wonderful package. Instead, the Celtics got 36-year-old, going to be 37-year-old Paul George, who played actually pretty decent at the end of last season, but again, is going to be 37. Those tires are tired, okay? And then, yes, they did get, I think, 2 first-round picks much later. Let me pull up the official sheet here. 2 first-round picks one in 2028, one in 2031, and 2 second-round picks, 2028 and 2030, in addition to Paul George. That's what the Celtics got. That doesn't exactly scream let's contend, okay? I am still, like, that's a whole different podcast. I am still floored the Celtics did that. But the Blazers, the point is, the Blazers offer sheet could have been significantly better than what the Sixers gave the Celtics for Jaylen Brown. So what that tells me, and I've seen this from reporters as well, is that the Blazers weren't actually that interested in Jaylen Brown. And you saw some tweets out there from these national guys like Jaylen Brown's value isn't as high as you think it is in front. I think that's actually true, man. Like, these reporters get used like puppets at times. I think that's true. I mean, what the Blazers could have thrown out there for Jaylen Brown, now, of course, there's a chance he could have said, I'm not going to go there. But what they could have thrown out there for him, and he's on, at the time, the richest deal in the history of the sport, and he's still guaranteed for a couple more years after that. It's not like he wasn't going to get paid, and he could have joined Drew Holiday and Dame. Granted, we may have had to give up Drew, like I just said, but he could have joined a really good contending team. And instead, he goes to a team that will contend if Joel Embiid stays healthy for the first time in his life. And I'm a big Embiid guy, but if he stays healthy for the first time in his life, they're going to contend. And so I guess my point is, like, dude, I actually don't think the Blazers were that high on Jaylen Brown. That's the whole point. Because they have Scoot, Shade, and Drew to trade. They weren't going to trade Dame or Denny. And instead, they bring those guys back. And I will say, I used to be pretty non-enthusiastic about the direction of the Blazers. They should have tanked harder a couple of years ago. They should have tanked last year, and certainly should have tanked harder a couple of years ago. Now it's like there's really no point in tanking. The Spurs deserved Wemby because the Blazers didn't tank hard enough that year. They let Ant Simons rip off a bunch of wins. Rip City, baby. Tom Dundon, folks, you still mad at him? Are you still mad at Tom Dundon? Because he just got you a 2-time All-Star who's 26. Dame's coming back. The Moda Center's going to get renovated. The future looks a lot brighter than it did a couple years ago. Are you guys still mad at Tom Dundon that he's making the city pay? By the way, Multnomah County resident here, you're welcome. Okay, Tom? Feel free to throw me a courtside ticket if you want. Let me go through, by the way, really quickly, the context of the city of Portland and what they're being asked to provide. Just this is kind of a one-off, but for people who like kind of know but not really, let me get you the actual information. The reporting from OPB and Oregon Live on the Moda Center renovations. The city of Portland is being asked to contribute up to $120 million for upfront renovations to the city-owned Moda Center. Again, I've said it 9 million times. Jody Allen gave the Moda Center back to Portland. Tom Dundon does not own the Moda Center. With an additional $280 million committed by Mayor Keith Wilson for ongoing operations to be paid over the next 20 years. So that does bring the city's potential long-term exposure to $400 million, but $280 have already been committed to over the next 20 years. The state, by the way, Senate Bill 1501, per the Oregonian, has already authorized Senate Bill 1501 for $365 million, contingent on the city and county finalizing their deals. So what else has to happen? This is it. The city of Portland has to pay $120 million up front, okay? And Multnomah County, that would be your boy, $88 million proposed share, primarily funded via rental car taxes and business taxes. So it's not coming out of the sciences, people. Okay, let me get a little bit further in depth here on the timeline, which I had previously asked ChatGPT about, and then it croaked. Okay, here we go. Here's the timeline. Portland basically needs to make this happen. God dang it. Timeline for city. Portland Moda Center renovations. By December. Oh, this is just up before I started. My apologies. Give me a second here. Here we go. July 26. Portland City Council is reviewing architectural renderings and environmental impacts. They are currently drafting a preliminary lease term sheet to present to the Blazers owner, according to Portland.gov. Again, these are .govs, folks. No one's given an opinion on the .gov sites. Portland City Council faces an early month deadline to vote on a revised, localized funding proposal this August. And then by December, quote from Oregon Public Broadcasting, the absolute deadline for the city of Portland and the Trailblazers to execute a new 20-year lease is December 26. If signed, the state triggers the release of its $365 million bond package. If missed, the state funding package expires entirely. The renovation phase would be 27 through 29, grand finale 2030. Okay, so the point is the city of Portland is on the hook for $120 million to make the Moda Center happen. That's a very small price to pay out of an $8 billion budget to keep your city alive. As someone who lives in Portland, Portland would practically collapse without the Blazers and without the Moda Center. On top of that, Tom Dundon does not own the Moda Center because Jody Allen, again, all the blame should be going on Jody Allen. Jody Allen should have sold to Phil Knight 6 years ago, and then instead she gave the Moda Center back to the city. So Tom Dundon does not own the Moda Center. There's like a Bruce Springsteen concert there on a Tuesday in July. He doesn't get any of that revenue. It doesn't come to him. You get the point. The city does, right? The city profits off that. Under Paul Allen, the city kind of got to eat the cake and have it too, as they say, where they got some of that money and profited off parking and all of that, while Paul Allen just kind of took care of everything, renovations, whatever else needs to be taken care of, paid for personnel to work there, etc. Okay, Tom Dundon, not Paul Allen, obviously. Paul Allen, one of the richest men in the history of the world. Tom Dundon, not even close. That's okay. My opinion, the city needs to just step up already, pay that $120 million. That's an incredibly small price to pay to keep your city alive. Obviously, the Blazers and the Moda Center in general are a massive economic engine for the city. Oh, by the way, the Portland Fire, first season currently underway. They play at the Moda Center. Like, this is a massive economic impact. I've gone to a couple Fire games. You take the tram in, you maybe buy a beer or a jersey. Like, this is a massive economic indicator of the health of the city of Portland and driver. On top of that, you got a million restaurants and bars all around that profit off of Blazer game nights and Fire game nights, presumably. This has to happen. Okay, so that's kind of the end of that Moda Center rant. Overall, man, I kind of can't believe the negative media reaction to a guy who deserves a clean start. My opinion, I can't wait for Ja to get a clean start. I am so thrilled that Tom Dundon is the owner of the Portland Trailblazers for a variety of reasons. Here's one. He already got a great assistant coach, Mike Inori. Everyone raves about the guy. He's been a 28-year assistant in the league. Now he's the head coach. Is the contract weird as fuck? Yep, it's really weird. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. That's Tom Dundon for you, man. He's going to apply the pressure. He also trimmed a bunch of fat. Feel terrible for people who lost their jobs. There's probably a lot of fat to trim. He trimmed a lot of it, okay? Now you have Ja Morant, who, by the way, he's going to pay $42 million for this year and $44 million for next year. So Blazers fans, it's not like he's pinching pennies when it comes to player contracts. He's going to hand out $44 million to Ja and in total $80-something million to Ja over the next 2 years. Okay, you have Denny, you have Dame, you have Drew, you have Shaden, you have Scoot, you have Ja. On the court, I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I trust Mike and Nori to figure it out. Additionally, if you can trade Drew, Shaden, and Scoot for Trey Murphy, do that yesterday. Everyone seems to be high on Trey Murphy. I'm sure, nice player. I've seen him a handful of times. I'd be lying if I told you I was locked into the Pelicans. That's for sure. But seems like a good young swingman who can shoot it from deep. Got length. Kind of seems like Jeremy Grant 2.0, but maybe he's a lot better. I don't know. But I love the fact that the Blazers are giving Ja a chance. And the negativity from the media kind of blows my mind, man. I'll certainly be embracing Ja. Short leash, thin ice, stay off the, put the Glocks down, leave him in Memphis. But man, when he throws down a jam on Wemby in the Moda Center this November, you guys are going to be happy he's a Portland Trailblazer as long as he keeps it clean off the court as well. Welcome to Portland, Ja. Official LeBron prediction, by the way. After 0 research on what other people are saying and simply my own opinion, I know everyone thinks he'll go to the Warriors. To me, the Warriors kind of have a bunch of old dudes, and they're a non-contender, if you want me to be honest. I know the Butler injury sucked. Even with him, I don't really think they're a contender. They're just really old. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a basketball standpoint, but I do think LeBron goes to Cleveland. I think he wants to go home, play with a good team, and just enjoy the ride in Cleveland, man. Just enjoy the ride. That's my official LeBron prediction. He'll be in the league for another year or two, and he'll play with Cleveland. All right, appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next time.